Castlefin Bridge after a lorry collided with the current set last evening, rendering them inoperable. There have been discussions in relation to road safety on the road linking Castlefin and Castlederg. Two cars cannot pass each other because the road is so narrow. Councillor Patrick McGowan says there are proposals to move the lights closer as a safety measure. He says there are frequent close calls in that area.
Once again, now there's been damage done there. A lorry clipped the pole that holds the traffic lights and was just completely taken down. Obviously, what happened now is the council has reinstated temporary lights there, and they'll be there for, I would say, at least a week. They've ordered equipment and that to come and replace the permanent light there, so we'll be operating on a temporary light for the next week or so. As I say, that bridge is very narrow. There's regularly a lot of vehicles scraping the sides, the parapet walls and the lights.
There are now just 2 days to go until General Election 2024, with political parties making their penultimate pitch for votes. Today, Fine Gael is holding a rally in Trim. Fianna Fáil is focusing on the economy, and Sinn Féin is pitching to be the leaders of an alternative government. It follows last night's final party leader debate between Simon Harris, Micheál Martin and Mary Lou McDonald. Political correspondent Sean Defoe says the debate never really caught fire.
It was teed up to be this fantastic debate where things are so tight, Harris on the back foot, Sinn Féin trying to surge again and all that sort of stuff. And in the end, they were all so conscious of making a mistake that they never really went for it, and it never really lit up. I thought Micheál Martin in particular was probably shaded it as the best on a maybe, three-way draw nearly.
Residents, farms and businesses in Buncrana have expressed anger after losing their water supplies yesterday afternoon at 4. Works are set to be complete by 1 o'clock this afternoon to have supplies restored to all areas. It follows a major burst leading to renewed calls for investment in the water structure in South Inishowen. The Cathaoirleach of the Inishowen MD, Councillor Jack Murray, says teams are working to get the problems fixed, and he appreciates the frustration in the community.
Great frustration, great anger. Look, there's children getting ready for school this morning. There's sick people, elderly people that can't access water. They weren't expecting this, and it's most of a day now they're going to be without water. So people are saying, we want this water infrastructure upgraded. We need the investment so that this doesn't happen. Other areas aren't enduring this level of water outages so frequently. So people want to see investment to make sure that this doesn't happen again. But I know the council staff are working on it now, and hopefully it'll be restored ASAP.
A grave in County Monaghan has been exhumed by experts searching for Joe Linsky, one of the disappeared. The former monk was abducted from Belfast by the IRA in 1972. A representative of the Independent Commission for the Location of Victims' Remains says a formal process will be undertaken to establish the identity of all the remains found in the grave in the village of Aniala. The Cabinet will today be asked to approve the opening of an emergency humanitarian aid scheme for those affected by Storm Bert. It's aimed at small businesses, community, voluntary and sporting bodies damaged by floods during the extreme weather which hit Cork, Donegal, Galway and Kerry last weekend. Killybegs was left partially submerged at Bridge Street after the river course changed. Once the scheme is approved, affected groups can apply for relief through the Irish Red Cross website. Almost all of the persons of interest in the Dublin riots appeal have now been identified. It's after Gardaí published the photographs of 99 people to whom they want to speak. With more, here's Stephanie Rowan.
This day last week, Gardaí published 99 photos of persons of interest they wanted to speak to about their role in the Dublin riots. There was so much interest to cause the Garda website to crash. Now, 7 days later, over 90 of the people have been identified. Because of this, all of the images, including those which are unidentified, have been removed from the Garda website. Officers say the investigation team will consider how to progress and identify the small number of remaining persons of interest. They also say it shouldn't be assumed that anyone who is identified was involved in a crime.
Weather forecast now, and it's been a cold and frosty start today. Fog still lingering in some areas. Sunny spells will develop during the day, but the fog may be slow to clear in some parts. Highs of just 3 to 7 degrees Celsius. Colder where the fog is lingering. Breezes light, northerly or variable in direction. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 12 noon. Don't forget, of course, the last of our 3 pre-election debates on the 9 till noon show with Greg is taking place in just a few moments' time, so please do stay tuned for that. We're back, as I say, with headlines at noon. Check all of the latest news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notices this Wednesday morning, November 27th. The death has taken place of Irene Wilson, née McClure, 9 Dublin Road, Strabane and formerly of Convoy, reposing at Quigley's Funeral Home today from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Funeral leaving the funeral home tomorrow at 3 o'clock to Christchurch Bowling Street for service of Thanksgiving on Friday at 1 p.m. Interment afterwards in Newry Cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers please to the Foyle Hospice care of Quigley Funeral Directors, house strictly private. The death has taken place of Peter Doherty, Mina Grave, formerly of Carrickmahon and Tevan Bands. Peter's remains will arrive at 5:45 to the Church of Our Lady of Perpetual Succour Glenfin for reception prayers and will repose there from 6 p.m. until Rosary at 8 p.m. this evening. Requiem Mass will take place tomorrow at 2 o'clock, followed by interment afterwards in Kiltyvogue Cemetery, Glenfin. The service can be viewed on the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Brendan Grieve, late of Glenealy Drumley, Carndonagh and formerly of Dunedin Claudy, County Derry. Remains are reposing at McLaughlin's Funeral Home, 414A Ballyquin Road, Dungiven today from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Leaving the funeral home at 9 p.m. to repose at his brother Christie's home, 17 Pellypar Park, Dungiven. Funeral on Friday leaving at 10 a.m. for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass in St Joseph's Church, Craigban. Interment immediately afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The funeral will be recorded and uploaded to McLaughlin's Funeral Director's Facebook page. The death has taken place of John Andrew Aiken, 10 Dergmoney Place, Omagh. Friends are welcome to call to his home between 2 and 6 p.m. today. A service of Thanksgiving for John will take place in First Omagh Presbyterian Church tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Interment in Ballymore Graveyard, County Donegal at 12 noon on Friday. Family flowers only. Donations in lieu of flowers if desired to Mary Curie, care of Adam and Pollock Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Peggy McGinley, née McFadden, Main Street, Creasla. Reposing at her home from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. today. Funeral Mass in St Michael's Church, Creasla tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Burial afterwards in Doe Graveyard. Mass can be viewed on mcn.live. Family time on the morning of the funeral please. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or James Harkin Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Rose Gallagher, Tullymore, Ardra, formerly of 26 Dramahi Park, Ardra. Her remains will repose at Shovelin's Funeral Home, Sandfield today from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m, followed by removal to the Church of the Holy Family, Ardra, arriving at 7 p.m. to repose overnight. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11 a.m, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Hughie McGee, Dreenan Ballybuffet, and formerly of Glenlehan, Fintown. Hughie's remains will repose at Marley's Funeral Home, Letterkenny, today from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning in St Columkille's Chapel, Fintown, at 11 a.m, with burial afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The death has occurred of Sister Stella Herrley, Kinsale, County Cork, Convent of Mercy, Donegal Town and Ballyshannon. Funeral Mass this morning at 11 a.m. in St Patrick's Church, Donegal Town, with burial immediately afterwards in Clare Cemetery. Sister Stella's Requiem Mass can be viewed on mcn.live. The death has occurred of Sean Doherty, Teve Clogher, Killygordon, reposing at the home of his sister and brother-in-law, Josephine and John Pat Harvey, Teve Clogher, Killygordon. Funeral from there this morning at 10:20 for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m. in St Mary's Church, Session Neil. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Mass can be viewed on the parish webcam. The death has occurred of Paddy Harron, Tána Crum, Castlefin. Remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral leaving from there this morning at 11:30 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Castlefin at 12 noon. Interment in the adjoining churchyard. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish Facebook page. The house is private to family and close friends at the request of the deceased. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Get into the festive spirit with amazing Christmas value at Aldi. A choice of festive party food, including mini veggie spring rolls from just 99 cents. Unbeatable value on Guinness 12 500ml can pack, now only $19.88. And oh crumbs, wait till you hear this. From November 21st, Elite chocolate tea cakes, now only $7.99 each. Save €5. Aldi, have a cracking Christmas. While stocks last, quantity restrictions apply. Get the facts, be drinkaware, visit drinkaware.ie. Deposit return scheme may apply.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. We're going into the second hour of the programme, and as I've been flagging all morning, it is the third and final general election debate ahead of voting on Friday. There are 20 candidates and there are 5 seats, and it's going to be very hotly contested, and the polls are indicating such, but it's still very much up for grabs. Anyone out there can change their mind and choose to vote another way, or those that don't vote might be motivated to vote, and certainly make no bones about it, you can have an influence on the outcome of this election. So maybe the next couple of hours might help formulate your decisions. So we'll go around the table and introduce you to our panellists today. We'll start to my right and say good morning to Claudia Kennedy of Fianna Fáil. Claudia, tell us a little bit about yourself, or use your minute or whatever way you want to for yourself.
Good morning, Greg, and thank you for facilitating this morning. My name is Claudia Kennedy. I'm living and teaching in Finn Valley College in Stranorlar. I understand the challenges families face today in Donegal, and so for me I will be focusing on the cost of living crisis, accessing medical services, childcare costs and supporting our carers. I'm committed to working on your behalf to address and resolve these issues at a national level. And I also aim to bring a strong female perspective and voice to the decision-making table. And I'm determined to advocate for the vulnerable in our society, including the elderly, our youth and those with disabilities. And I look forward to continuing my campaign and meeting people, and to thank people for the very warm, positive response I've got while campaigning.
Great stuff. Thanks, Claudia. And to your rights, Nuala Carr of the Green Party. Hey, Nuala, great to see you again.
Hi, Greg. Thanks for having me here today. So as your Green Party candidate, I represent a vital alternative for those seeking meaningful change in the political landscape. I'll be working towards immediate social needs, long-term environmental sustainability. The Green Party are committed to creating an economy that works for everyone, with policies supporting living wages, affordable housing and comprehensive health care. And the Green Party addresses the urgent climate crisis head-on, proposing concrete solutions while creating new job opportunities through the new Green Deal. The Green Party have introduced energy efficiency grants, and which need to be, I suppose, added to and supported for those with low income. They're going to proposing to hold a citizens' assembly to discuss the introduction of a 4-day working week. We've enhanced public transport, and we've much more to do in that area. And we've also we're working towards strengthening the healthcare system through actionable solutions, and we're working towards the pressing issues like climate change, social inequality and environmental instability. OK, Nuala, thank you very much indeed. Eamon McGee is running for the Irish Freedom Party. Eamon, good morning.
Well, good morning, Greg. Good morning, listeners. I am Eamon McGee. I will be the Irish Freedom Party candidate for County Donegal. I'm a father of 2 and also a defective homeowner. Our children need a future where they can afford to buy a house, not need to feel the need to immigrate. We are facing one of the worst housing crises ever, and proper solutions desperately need to be found. We need to dramatically reduce immigration to lower demand for houses. I want a safe and protected future for all our children. We need to stop answering to the EU's political union. This is our country, and Irish people are good enough to decide their own laws. We need to stop the wasteful government spending and mismanagement of taxpayers' money. We need to make sure Ireland's national resources and taxes are for the benefit of the Irish people. We believe in lowering taxes for Irish workers toward work and enterprise. We want to cut the carbon taxes because it's unnecessary and unjust. We wish to increase income from farmers and fishermen and make the Irish nation free to prosper. This country is changing fast, and we need people to stand up for what is right, and especially speak up for the most vulnerable in our society, including our children. OK, Noel Jordan is one of 3 Sinn Féin candidates. Noel, thanks so much for coming up to us. Tell us a bit about yourself, why people might vote for you.
Yeah, good morning, Greg, and good morning, dear listeners. I'm Noel Jordan and I've been a councillor representing the Donegal Municipal District for the last 10 years. I have a proven track record and I'm standing as a candidate for Sinn Féin in the general election. I want to see a fair and a more just Ireland, an Ireland where young people are not forced to emigrate because they can't afford to own a home, an Ireland where people don't languish on waiting lists, on hospital trolleys, where Donegal is forgotten about in terms of infrastructure and healthcare.
Thomas Pringle's the only sitting TD around this table. Thomas, good morning to you.
Morning, Greg. How's it going?
Good to have you with us.
Thank you, and it's good to be here. Greg, I've been a consistent independent voice for Donegal people in the Dáil since 2011. The needs of Donegal has always been at the heart of what I do as an independent voice. I don't speak on behalf of a party. I speak on behalf of the people of Donegal, and I have a track record of this. I have made, through my work, over 61,000 representations for my constituents. I have spoken more often in Dáil debates than any other TD from this constituency, and I have mentioned Donegal more times than all other Donegal TDs combined as well. I have spoken on fishing over 40 times and rural issues 104 times. I am a strong advocate on disability rights and a consistent leader on defective blocks as well. I have been raising the issues that impact us in Donegal on the floor of the Dáil over the last 13 years, and I want to continue to do this to ensure that Donegal will not be left behind by Dublin in the future as we have been in the past. I am committed to continuing to work in my work as your independent TD and to push for the systemic change that we desperately need in Donegal and countrywide. That's why I'm asking for your number one vote this Friday.
Thanks, Thomas. And lastly, just by the way we went round the table, Kim McMenamin, the Irish People's Party National Alliance.
Hi, Greg. My name is Kim McMenamin. I'm from Buncrana. I'm a father, a grandfather, a husband, a martial arts instructor, an acupuncturist, and a very successful activist. I organised the people of Buncrana, and we successfully stopped 66 single men of military age getting into a building beside our school children. Okay, so that was something. Just tells you that people power does work. And I keep saying, don't moan them out, we've got to vote them out. Now, the people of Donegal, you have a constitutional right to live in a safe community and to safeguard our own traditions and culture. Women, children, men have the right to live in a safe and secure environment. These rights are provided for in the UN Declaration on Human Rights and further established in EU treaties. These are our basic fundamental rights. Whether written in law or not, these are God-given rights. There's no guarantee now that any town or village will be able to remain a safe place for our children or young women to live in when unvetted single men arrive, like what's happening currently in Athlone. They're trying to put 1,000 men into a field and put them in tents. These migrants are being abused also solely for profit. They're left without proper provision or even a sustainable approach to their integration. Many do not want to integrate at all. So above all, as sovereign Irish people, we want to promote the common good, but we cannot do this to our own detriment. So being asked to sacrifice our own personal security and safety for the common good of others, this is not how charity works. Charity has to begin at home. Mm-hmm. We have a housing crisis. Our schools are at full capacity. Medical services are not fit for purpose. We are a peaceful community. We observe justice and charity, but we cannot let charity impede upon our own right to live in a safe and secure environment. A vote for me is a voice for you. Just help me, people. Vote the old brigade out.
Okay, Kim,
chance.
I'll stay with
and
you.
Vote me in, please.
Yes,
help
I'll
me turn
stay
this
with
country
you.
around. Thank you.
Yeah, you talk about, problems in housing, healthcare, crime, school places, and you seem to attribute all of that to immigration. Which makes up around about, 68,000 immigrants have come into the country so far this year seeking protection, and under other banners that aren't, for instance, international protection. That's the total, right? Isn't it? So, are you saying all of the problems that we're experiencing at the moment are as a result of immigration?
Well, if it's down to money, there's 5 million per day being spent in iPass. That's 2 billion per year, almost. So that money could be redirected towards housing. We would not have a housing crisis if all this money did not go there.
Yeah, but that's presuming it would be spent on housing. There is money in the coffers, and all parties and none have budgeted for housing. So that 2 billion that you talk of, the figure that you use there, it's not like that all of a sudden goes in and fixes the housing problem, because all of the main parties have made their own allocations to housing. So, it's not that houses aren't being built because that 2 billion's been spent, Kim, is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of shenanigans around the housing problem, and everybody has their own view on it, and everybody has their own figures. And it looks to me like the sitting politicians and people who are from the tri-party of Sinn Féin, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, they've had their chance to fix the housing problem. They did nothing. Like, they have a cheek to actually say and tell people what they're going to do. Empty promises again. Like, we should not have a housing crisis. We should not have an immigration problem. If Helen McEntee was fit for purpose, we would not be in this mess with open borders.
Yep, Thomas Pringle, obviously you're not here to speak on behalf of the government. I'm sure there are many aspects of immigration and the handling of it that you would take issue with. But first, to Kim McMenam's point, do you believe that much of the problems Irish society is facing at the moment is because of military-aged, unvetted men coming into the country?
To be honest, Greg, it's not an issue that's coming up on the doors throughout Donegal. People are more concerned about issues such as housing, childcare, cost of living, and we have to make sure that we're giving those sufficient time to these extremely important issues. What I'm hearing on the doors are issues regarding housing, fishing, farming, teacher shortages, mental health services and disability services, not about immigration.
I think
in Ireland, most of us believe that no matter what we look like or where we come from, we all deserve a place to live, care when we're sick, and a community where we belong. And I think there's a lot of misdirected frustration, and that's understandable. And I've been highlighting the pressures on GP services and schools for years and years, and that predates any immigration or anything that got there into this country. And that's a failure of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael in government, and that's what has led to the problems that we are experiencing right across the board in our communities.
Claudia Kennedy, as a Fianna Fáil representative, how big of an issue is immigration on the doorsteps?
I would have to agree with Thomas. The key issues that I have found on the doors has been housing, health, education, disability care, special needs education. From a government point of view, we need a fair and firm asylum process. As you know, we have signed up to the EU Pact on Migration because this is an EU problem. We're one country and we need that pact in place, particularly about moving asylum seekers with secondary movements to this country. Now, in terms of what we have done in government is we've actually increased the number of safe countries of origin since November 2022, and we have seen numbers from those
Is that the right
countries
thing to do,
by
though?
68%.
Because, there are countries on that safe list that the general consensus is that they aren't safe at all, and that really was just something to, try and reduce numbers and maybe a populist move. I mean, if you were genuinely interested in helping people coming from desperate situations, you wouldn't stick a country like Nigeria. I believe that's one that's open to debate as to whether it's actually safe or not.
Well, if you take a country like Georgia, it's a safe country. We had a lot of economic migrants coming here from Georgia. And in terms of what we have done, this is really important to say, we have increased 3,000 doorstop operations carried out to date this year on flights that pose a risk of irregular migration. We also have put Gardaí on the border as immigration officers. We want to increase those numbers. We've also increased the fees and on our airlines up to €5,000 per passenger for those that are arriving into the country without a passport. We're looking at increasing that to €10,000 for our airlines. And the big one that we need to talk about is about accommodation for IPAS refugees, that as a government we want to have 6 reception centres, that they're not going into our hotels, community centres, and taking those vital services.
Would you be in favour of putting 1,000 people who are fleeing a dire situation, we're told, into a tented temporary accommodation village in Athlone? For an example, is there anywhere in Donegal that you believe could accommodate that one of those centres, like the one that's going into Athlone? You know what I mean? We can't sort of say this is what we should be doing, this is the right thing to do, if we don't answer honestly and to the question of, would you be okay with one of these going into Donegal, for an example?
So capacity is the key issue here, Greg, and you've really talked about it there very succinctly. Putting 1,000 people into a field in Athlone is not feasible. It's not realistic.
That's your party's policy. That's what they're doing.
But let's just take a step back. We need to look at our borders. We need to look at numbers that are coming in. We need to look at capacity. This country, when the war in Ukraine happened, we welcomed 80,000 people from that war here. So Ireland is a very welcoming country. We have a history of Irish people going to other countries worldwide and living. So our history and our DNA and our identity as people is there. But we need to talk about capacity. And we are looking at building reception centres. We are looking at state-owned accommodation.
But would you be okay with one of those reception centres being in Donegal?
If it was a purpose-built building and if it's a state-owned building, that would work. That it's not going into our hotel, it's not going into our B&B. It's state-owned accommodation.
Okay, briefly, Kim, so there's three others that haven't spoken
Well,
yet.
she's talking there, about what they're going to do, but they had their chance, they did nothing on the immigration front. Now, 85% of deportees in the last 5 years did not have their orders actioned. That's Helen McEntee, right? So that was the government. Fianna Fáil is part of that tri-party government.
The government is saying
so
now that
they are to blame
they've
for
made
the
great
massive
progress
immigration.
in that regard. Some of the measures that Claudia referenced, and speeding up the process, more resources to get people who aren't entitled to be here back out of here.
How can that happen if you have to self-deport? If you get a paper saying, you got to leave the country, how many people are going to do it? This is the problem. We don't have proper deportation laws. Now, we do probably have them, but everything like the planning laws, everything is being flaunted at the moment. Now, this man here, Thomas Pringle, the doors I'm knocking on in Inishowen, women are talking about the personal safety, and they can't go around rivers and they can't go out cycling. They feel insecure because Thomas Pringle supports mass immigration. This lady over here supports mass immigration. So they don't care who they put in a field and a tent beside you.
Okay,
it is
Kim,
wrong.
I'll
it
come
is
back
immoral.
to you. Noel Jordan, obviously this was an issue that came up, as you would imagine, in the leaders' debate last night, and there was a particular national conversation had in relation to this. People might be a little bit unsure what Sinn Féin actually is opposed to, what they're in favour of, what their plan might be.
Well, I feel that the whole thing has been mismanaged by this government. I feel that. And there is anger out there. There's huge anger out there, and how people were communicated with in certain places. And we believe that, and we said if we lead the next government, we will establish an immigration management agency where we will deal with where we will put the sufficient staff into and deal with turnaround times quicker, processing documents. And I always say, and I've said this from the word go, if people were communicated with in their own areas, we don't believe that people should be put into.
That was done away with because, and I think it was actually really Maville that was one of the places that started this. The bottom line was, and I think it might have been Roderick O'Gorman or someone that referenced this at that time, if you start negotiating with locals, that you're never going to get an agreement, because every nook and cranny of this country has an argument that their GP is at capacity, the local hospitals at capacity, the local schools at capacity. There's not enough SNAs. So theoretically, if you were to if you were to engage with any local community in the country, effectively you would never get anyone housed anywhere.
But Greg, common sense shows you if you haven't got the infrastructure and the amenities, the services there, you can't put people in there. And it's people, actually people that have integrated in the areas of Donegal. There's people were put to other areas that weren't happy to be there because there were no services there. And look at bad communication. I put that a lot of down to bad communication, and I said we would deal with it differently if we lead the next government.
Okay, Nuala Carr, the Green Party, a lot of this falls on the lap of your party leader, Roderick O'Gorman. People will probably, I'm surprised it hasn't been referenced already, the video that he made in multiple languages promising, everyone a front door effectively if they came to Ireland. The motivation of that's been disputed by other people, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the poor handling, if you see it as poor, of this whole situation since the get-go is a lot of it attributed to Roderick O'Gorman. Do you think that's fair?
Well, I don't think that's fair, no. I think Ireland has an obligation to welcome people who are in need of protection.
Do you mean a moral obligation? I'll look after that one. Do you
think,
mean a moral obligation or a legal obligation?
I think both moral and legal. I think we can't turn our backs on people who are fleeing countries when they're not safe. I mean, I think Ireland, we have plenty of room in Ireland to house people. I mean, our housing problem and our services, GP, healthcare, were under pressure before any of this, after the last economic crash.
But some would say, Nuala, that if we had a housing problem, if we had a problem in the health service and other areas of society, okay, that what you do is, and if to be fair to people that are of the country and those moving here, you start to fix that and make inroads in that before you start adding greater pressure upon it.
Yeah, we do, but we need to address those issues first and foremost. But we can't go blaming innocent people who need protection and need somewhere safe to live. And we can't be inducing fear among communities where, that's going to create division and it's not going to ease any of the problems that need to be fixed.
Eamon McGee of the Irish Freedom Party, immigration top of your list as well.
Yes. Well, first of all,
above a lot of stuff.
Well, first of all, Ireland never had a housing crisis. The Irish government have already proven by giving homes to our new Irish. So our people have been let down by our government.
Are they not being housed in hotels and
no,
rental accommodation?
I'm living in Ardtomere. There's 32 houses in Ardtomere. It's an iPass centre. They're living there. I have been canvassing. Let me finish.
No, I want to tease out that conversation. So are you saying that's property that should be...
Where somebody walked into this country 4 weeks ago, Greg, and they were given a brand new house by social housing. And this is what happened. Now, not only that, when we look back, Greg, all these people are coming from safe countries. Is Brazil a safe country? Is Brazil a safe country? Is UK a safe country? 78% of these people are coming into our borders with no ID. But all of a sudden we have an international obligation to house these people. For start, they're breaking international law. They've lied to us. We have a law in our country to deport these people immediately, or 3,000 fine, or 12 months in prison, or both. But why is our government putting these people up? Why are we doing this? They're breaking the law.
Do you believe there should be any level of immigration to this country?
We need it. We definitely need it.
So
we need builders, we need nurses and doctors, we need many services. But look, we have our own people scattered in the four corners of the world. Surely we can bring them home first. They've been crying out all over the world to come home. Now, the only way we can sort this out for our own people, we need massive. We need to start deporting people immediately because they're under false pretences. Now, we haven't got the houses for our own people, never mind the rest of the world.
So are you saying, right, just to be clear here, there is a system where people can come here and as soon as they're on Irish soil, with or without documentation, as far as I'm aware, they can claim asylum here. And then there is a process whereby they're evaluated and a decision is made and then an order is made whether they can stay or they can leave. You want to rip that up. And as soon as they come here, what's the criteria for sending them straight home?
I believe in using the laws of our country first.
But what's the criteria? Is it no papers or?
Look, listen, we have to. We all know there's problems here. How are we bringing, as you're saying, 36,000 people in here, into our country legally? Now, they're allowed to bring their families on top of that. They'll bring their parents. Well, they'll sponge out the social welfare. They'll bring in their grandparents. Will also take money from our pension funds. They'll also will need to be housed.
Who are you talking about? Are you talking about people that come here and work permits?
Even people legal.
So would you have them in?
Do you know what I mean? Even illegal people. Now, with more people coming in, there's going to be less houses. House prices are going up. Personally, myself, I personally believe that anybody that's coming in legally...
Do you have any family working abroad or living abroad?
I did work abroad myself. I know how it works.
So just
people coming into our country legally...
Can I just say one thing?
To reduce the house and give our children a better opportunity.
I know, I just want to tease some stuff out so people understand exactly what you stand for, right? You are a former immigrant, okay? So you went over to a different country, you worked over there, You lived in a house, I presume, ate in the restaurants, drank in the local pubs, what have you. I hope you didn't come up. You weren't given much abuse over there, were you?
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. But my point is that you don't want to afford other people coming here legally the same life experience that you had? Is it because you're...
First and foremost, whenever I went, I got nothing for nothing. I got no freebies.
Yeah, but
I got no freebies.
No, but you said about people coming here legally. And they're coming here to work.
Yes, even if I went there legal.
Yeah.
I got nothing for free. If you want to come on into Ireland, you should ably support your own family, your own children, and it shouldn't be a burden on our state.
Thomas Pringle, we'll move on from this in a moment, but I mean, there's a couple of people here literally standing on this platform. I note from the side of my eye, you're shaking your head an awful lot. Is it because you don't like this rhetoric, this language, you disagree with it, you don't think it's accurate?
Well, it's not true, Greg. And that's the reality of the situation. Anybody that comes to Ireland and claims asylum, they are legal from that point on, and the process has to be dealt with. And the reason why people don't work when they come here is because they're not allowed to work. The state doesn't allow them to work. You can work in Ireland when you're a resident for over six months, but you can only apply to work after 6 months, and it takes another 6 months for the state to actually get around to saying whether you can work or not. So people will be here for a year before they're actually allowed to work, and all the immigrants that I know want to work and they want to contribute to society, but they're not allowed to work by the state, and that's the facts of the matter. And the other fact of the matter is that nobody gets a house who hasn't got fully legally entitled to be here and to be resident here. So
you're disputing the claim that someone came into the country and got a brand new house straight away.
100%.
Where did you get that information from? Don't need a name.
Well, I can't name the person, but it's very close to Thomas.
Is it an official or?
It's very close to Thomas.
Right, Kim,
Can I say another thing as well? Just 1 second, I want to say, Greg.
I'm chairing this, with all due respect to you, okay? I'll come back to you in a second. Kim, is it possible when you talk about the fear that's in communities, okay, the fear that a woman can get, sexually assaulted or what have you, we speak to the Gardaí, because, I want to be fair in this and know when I'm talking about facts or not facts, and the Guards say there's been absolutely no peak in crime in any of the areas where these people are housed. There's no issue there. Is it possible that it's the likes of yourself, as well-intended as it might be, is it not possible that your Project Fear is actually what's scaring people rather than the reality? Because the statistics don't back up. But you're going around to people's houses saying 66 men are coming here, military age, single. They're going to be bored. They're going to be at your kids. They're going to be at your women. Is it not possible that it's actually you that is the architect of this fear and not necessarily the public themselves?
Yeah, good point, but it's untrue. Like if 66 single men from Cork were stuffed into a bus and taken to a building in Buncrana beside our school children, I would be worried, and mothers would be worried about that. So let's get rid of the colour of skin.
But do you think men are that dangerous, though,
This is not about who these people are. It's about just stuffing. Men need to work. They need to be out there doing things, not stuffed into a building purely for profit. There's millionaires have been created from this, as you well know, and everybody knows. And look, women on the ground, do you think they're going to listen to me? They feel it. They see it. Look, we have the media now. We own the media, okay? So the mainstream media, if you like, is online now. People can research, and they're not blind and they're not stupid. They know what's happening, and the reports are out there. Sexual assaults are way up, and way up in Sweden. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Imagine if you bring 1,000 men into a field, what are they going to do?
Okay, I just want to really focus on facts, because there's like-minded people in Sweden that are blaming migrants for that, and the statistics I've seen.
No, they racially profile there, so they know what section of the community the crime's coming from.
Greg, the way Kim's talking about men, I think we better get some women voted into the Dáil, because there's obviously no trust in men.
I would hope that most will say that.
Do you think people coming in legally on work permits after 3 years should lead to citizenship? Do you believe people coming in, 78% of people? I totally disagree. They shouldn't be given citizenship.
So what would you do with the 40-odd percent of
people coming into Ireland?
Eamon, what would you do with the 40-odd percent of people working in the health service? And don't say bring the nurses back from Australia, because that wouldn't match the need. So say they're listening to us today describing, you want them to go home. I mean, what if you God forbid you fall over and crack your head walking out of this door? Are you going to get on and say, unless
Listen,
you're white
Greg,
and
I've
Irish?
already been through the process in the hospitals, and all our foreign doctors are doing a great job.
But you want them to go home?
Yes. Listen, this is a simple solution for our own people wants to go home. How can we need to provide for our own people
Kim, do you
first.
want them to go home?
I want our people to come back,
I
and
want
we can
my people as well.
incentivise them.
Let me finish here, man. Kim.
Go ahead.
Here's another thing as well. Do you believe that people coming in here, 78% of the people are given a free PPS number, and after 3 years they're a citizen? They're allowed to bring all their families over. Is this right? On the taxpayers? No, it's not.
Okay.
We need to have a nation for our Irish children first and foremost. We don't want our children to take to the four corners of the
come
world.
in here, please. Yeah. This trying to scare people
That's
with
not
what
scaring
could
nobody.
happen.
People want it. People want the people.
But you're saying 78 people are coming in here and they're going to bring their grannies, their granddads, their aunts, their uncles.
Correct, they are doing it.
Okay, I'd love to see the
Thomas
statistics
Pringle
on
here
that.
just said that they're coming in, legally, and they're not. They tear up their documents on the plane.
Yeah, but what he says is once you
asylum,
whether you like it or not, the problem is once you touch Irish soil and claim asylum,
you should have documentation.
Hold on, they're travelling all over Europe. They're coming from outside the EU. They can't travel on a plane without documentation.
It's a very interesting question.
It's
a very interesting
They have
question.
no IDs.
They're flushing them in the toilet, some of them.
So
Claudia.
just to bring some context to the conversation and facts, I wonder have you two actually done any research and facts and data? Currently, there has been over 2,250 operations to check for passports on the steps of airplanes. They're now being carried out so far.
Well, Herman Kelly's been travelling.
If I could finish,
just one moment, please.
Thank you. We've had 100 people who have been prosecuted legally for coming in without a document. We've had over 3,000 doorstep operations to date on flights for irregular migration. Now, just to put this into context for our government, we want to expedite the deportation of any applicant who is convicted of a serious crime within this jurisdiction during their application period. We will double the number of Gardaí trained as immigration officers who are currently working as immigration officers today as we speak on our border. We will also deem any ineligible applicant who has already been refused an asylum in another EU member state. This is working. Excuse me, we are part of the EU Migration Pact.
No.
This is really important.
Which you signed in without the consent of the people.
Okay.
You
will do something
without the consent of the people.
Just one moment.
That should have been a referendum on that.
One moment. You see, this is the way democracy works. You see, if either you or Kim or anyone around this table have voted into government, right? You're given a mandate. You're given a mandate. I know that. You're given a mandate to vote in legislation. Maybe you want to change
people
that.
will see. They will see what's coming in the next 5 years.
Herman Kelly lives and works in Brussels. Do you think he should come home?
And he has never been checked for passports with any
But do you
staff.
think he should come home?
Do I think? That's
Herman
his
Kelly
choice.
should come home. Well, you want to send people home in inverted commas?
And bring our own people back.
So Herman should come back and
bring our own people back.
100%.
Working on it.
I don't want to see my children being kicked out of Ireland to the four corners of the world and not have a nation to come back home to.
All right. Anyone else want word of this before we
Foreign
take a
cheap
break?
labour is not wanted. We don't need that. We need to bring our own people back.
Well, that's what a lot of
We
people over in
educated
Australia
them.
do, and they're
We
working
spend
over
money
there.
on them, incentivise them to come back. That would
Okay.
be a great idea.
I don't want to see my children over a screen, over Skype, and never even to
But
see
your
them.
parents saw you over a telephone.
No,
Were you not-
we never had anything like that in my
Okay,
day,
you
Greg.
just left. All right,
we
okay.
didn't even have a telephone.
This lady over here is saying
Claudia
what they
Kennedy's her
will
name.
do. They have done nothing. That's why we're in the state we're in. Her party has done nothing. This lady said
Nuala
we have
Carr's
an
her
obligation, an international obligation.
We don't.
I have an obligation to the Irish people, and you should have too. You should have a sense
Our
of
people
nationhood,
come first.
and you have none. You are for the EU federal state, and you are for that. You are not for the Irish people. You're anti-Irish, and so is she.
Okay.
100%.
Do you want to come back to that?
It's a strong opinion.
I think what's been demonstrated here today is the lack of engagement, the lack of listening, the lack of debate.
Well, what happened with
Well, you
Uniform,
failed there.
Fianna Gael and the
Just
Green
one
Party
second.
and all the political
Lads,
parties
you're talking
or
about
opposition,
you're
Sinn
talking
Féin,
about fellas.
they all totally
Like,
agree with open borders.
You're talking about fellas. Would you not at least give her a chance to have a say without two lads going at her? You seem very concerned about women's well-being. Just let her have her say. Go ahead, Claudia.
Thank you, Greg. I think for our listeners this morning, to hear the conversation or the lack of debate, the lack of listening, if you're going to do that at a national level, it certainly does not bode well. And if you would like to be in a leadership role on this issue, you have to demonstrate that leadership and be very aware of what you're saying and look at the facts. I don't know if you've researched any of the facts. We know for a fact there have been 2,250 operations checking passports. Yes, more needs to be done. 100 people have been prosecuted for arriving without documents. We have done 3,000 doorstep operations carried out to date on flights for irregular migration. We are currently fining aeroplanes and airlines who allow people to travel here without a passport.
You are reiterated the stuff. You reiterated the stuff you said before.
Prosecuted.
Right. Okay. A couple of comments coming in along the lines of, without getting into a massive debate again, there's nurses, doctors, people working in hospitality, second, third generation Irish that are listening to this debate, and a number of people are saying this is not what Ireland stands for, that this is not, that the Ireland that you want is not the Ireland that they want.
I want an Ireland for my children. An Ireland that we can prosper as a nation.
What about the nurses, the doctors, the hospitality workers, second, third generation?
Well, for start, the hospitality worker, our tourism has been destroyed with people coming into the country that are breaking international rules. They shouldn't be here. Our government are putting them in 4-star.
Not breaking international rules, though. I mean, they're quite literally not.
They're coming in with no ID. They're breaking the law. They shouldn't be in our hotels.
But if you keep saying the same stuff, it's pushing me into a position where it looks like I'm coming from an angle. It's not breaking international law, whether you like it or not. It's not.
We need to open them up.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not
we don't
because
have documentation. It's
I know,
breaking the law. We have an Irish law.
That's as soon as they get into the country and claim asylum, that's purged. Kim, it's just a fact. It's not. It's whether we like it or not is a different matter. No, but. Okay.
Like O'Gorman advertised in 29 countries. People think it's only 8. 29 countries. He did it in French.
Yeah.
And the French language takes on 29 countries he advertised on.
Yeah, 7
and that
languages.
lady over there, she wouldn't admit it. 22 Arabic countries. So he did the advertisements in Arabic and French. That's 22 and 29.
Yeah,
Do the maths.
7 languages.
That is a lot of countries he has invited to come here. When our people, and I've spoke to them on the doors, they're hurting. They've got the defective blocks. We have an economic crisis. We've got inflation. All this mismanaged by that lady's party over there and that lady's party over here.
Okay, listen, both of you, all of you, sorry, thank you very much indeed. You are tuned to the third and final debate. This is all ahead of you having your say on Friday as to who to vote for. You're hearing from Claudia Kennedy, Thomas Pringle, Nuala Card, Noel Jordan, Eamon McGee, Kim McMenamin, and obviously, you've heard some voices more than others. We'll strike a balance as we move through some of the issues. But for now, we'll take a break. We'll be back in just about 4 minutes. Stay where you are.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 27th of November. You're playing for the daily prize of €400 on the blue sheet. The reference number is S18. It's game number 48. The numbers are 86, 35, 50, 82, 90, 78, 65, 31, 7, and finally 84. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
It's the Right Price Tiles wood flooring and bathware 70% off sale. Get up to 70% off all your purchases. Up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything's reduced in store. The 70% off sale at Right Price Tiles, wood flooring and bathware. Stores nationwide. Sale ends Sunday.
Introducing Flow for Men, my new fragrance collection of products created to keep you feeling fresh and looking sharp. The ideal gift for the man in your life. Find Flow in pharmacies nationwide or online at flowbybo.com. Start every day with confidence.
Expecting a baby? Don't miss the Cool Kids Sligo Black November sale with up to 25% off selected pushchairs, car seats, nursery furniture and high chairs. During our Black November baby equipment sale, we still accept deposits and are offering free nationwide delivery. Shop online at babyaccessories.ie.
Hairspray, the smash hit Broadway and West End musical, is coming to Derry this March. Featuring some of musical theatre's biggest hit songs, Hairspray is the hilarious, joyous and inspiring musical for all. Hairspray at Millennium Forum from Monday 10th to Saturday 15th of March. This big, bold and beautiful feel-good classic is back. Book your tickets now at millenniumforum.co.uk.
The 9 till noon show with the Silver Tassie Hotel, the perfect venue for a Christmas get-together. Serving festive lunch, afternoon tea, dinner and drinks throughout December. Follow Silver Tassie Hotel on Facebook and Instagram. Your one-stop shop this Christmas. Gift vouchers for the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa are available online at silvertassiehotel.com or from hotel reception. The Silver Tassie, proud sponsors of today's show.
Me and the Minions are on a road trip. Yeah! To spread the word that Sky Full Fibre Broadband is now available in more homes across Ireland.
Voila!
So, Stuart, where are we going? Okay, Letterkenny. Then Lifford. Oh, and Bundoran too. Keep an eye out for 99.9% reliable Sky Full Fibre Broadband. Well, crank up the tunes, Kevin, and off we go. Search Sky Broadband today. Availability subject to location. See sky.ie/speeds.
Easy Living Furniture presents its massive Black Friday sale with discounts of up to 60% off. That's right, up to 60% off sofas, dining, bedroom, mattresses and Christmas. Plus, with price match guarantee and buy now, pay later options, why shop anywhere else? Don't miss out. The sale ends on Sunday. Exclusive to Easy Living Furniture. Crescent Link, Derry, Londonderry or online at easylivingfurniture.co.uk.
It's Ireland's greatest live show. The Three Amigos, Jimmy Buckley, Robert Mazzell and Patrick Feeney are back on tour. Get ready for a truly amazing experience full of laughter, music and song. See The Three Amigos live Tuesday, January 21st, Clonry Hotel, Letterkenny. Tickets price $39.50, now available at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie, where booking fees may apply. The Three Amigos live. It's not to be missed.
With MasterCard Priceless Experiences, the possibilities are endless.
You could be front row, screaming every lyric.
Or lost for words at the final act.
Shh, sorry. Discovering new destinations.
Or a land of mouth-watering flavours.
So if you're a MasterCard cardholder, register at priceless.com to unlock a world of priceless experiences. From exclusive dining events to historic tours. One place, endless possibilities. Priceless.
Unwrap the magic of Christmas gifting with Eason's best of kids books, including The Hilarious Disaster Dad by Donico Callahan, Skullduggery Pleasant, The Haunted House on Hollow Hill, Tom Gates' Ha Ha Hilarious, and Where to Hide a Star by Oliver Jeffers. In Easton stores now or online, with thousands of books available for next day delivery.
OK, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show this Wednesday morning. We're gearing up to the election on Friday, and just to let you know that from 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, we'll be broadcasting live for as long as it takes from the Ora Leisure Centre in Letterkenny. We have a whole team down there, and you'll be able to listen to it on the radio, of course. But as you may have come accustomed to during the council elections, you'll be able to watch our coverage as well. And things should move along relatively quickly there, albeit could drag on for hours in the end. Right. One of the big issues certainly coming into us and on the door is housing, Thomas Pringle. And I don't think in a Donegal context you can talk about housing without it inevitably straying into the defective concrete blocks issue. So I presume we'll sort of, I'll let people go whichever direction they like, but they're going to be intertwined. But it's not just that. It's affordability of rental property. It's the affordability of, affordable homes for people to buy. And there are many in this county that feel that as bad as it is elsewhere, that there are layers or layer upon layer of problems here for us in Donegal. Is that your view? What do you think can be done about it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I think you're right, Greg. The housing issue can't be talked about in Donegal without talking about defective blocks as well too, and that is a very pressing issue in the county, because no matter what's done in terms of assisting public housing and stuff like that, there we're going to have a huge problem with defective blocks in terms of people finding places to live while their houses are being repaired and that as well too. So that's going to be a huge issue, and it's an issue that's going to be present in everybody's mind. In terms of housing on its own, just first of all, if we could deal with that first, and then I'll deal with defective blocks as well. I mean, we've no doubts that we're in crisis. We're in crisis right across the board. I mean, 1 in 7 adults in the county now live with their parents, and that's because of the lack of availability of housing. And and so young people are unable to start their lives. Families are forced to separate, and rural communities are watching the future generation just drift away, because I've spoken to people in the doors who young people are living away. They can't get back. They can't get back to actually find somewhere to live. So we have to have a massive house building program that has to happen, and do
you see anything in the Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael or Sinn Féin policy documents? There are other parties, of course, with their policies, but it's likely what 1 or 2 of those will be in government. Do you see anything in what they are proposing as the solution?
Well, I think in terms of government, they're not proposing it. I don't see it as a solution. And, it's very interesting to see as well, too, like the Help to Buy scheme and that as well. As a development, as for developers, as a subsidy for developers, not a subsidy for people who wanted to provide housing. Because if you look, you can't, if you buy a second-hand house, you don't qualify for the scheme. And if you buy a new house, you do qualify for the scheme. That's money going directly to developers and builders. It's not actually going to help young people get going. And that's the problem. I've spoken to many homeowners who, through the Help to Buy scheme, are buying houses, second-hand houses, and they're not getting any support at all. And that's a big problem, and right across rural areas, and particularly in rural areas where maybe there's no building taking place, so there's no developers that need a handout that will get it from government policy. So we need to have a public house building program, and that's what has to happen here. And if you look as well to like the housing list, you can't get on the housing list in Donegal unless you're earning under €31,000 a year. So there's a huge amount of people between 31,000 and 60, 70, 80, 90,000 who can't provide a house out of their own means because the prices have gone up so much. So we need to open up the list and allow those people on this. Now, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael won't allow that to happen, because automatically then straight away it shows that their housing policy is a failure, and they won't allow that to happen. And in fact, if it was left up to them, they'd probably reduce the housing list as much as possible to make it look like that they're actually succeeding.
I can come back to you on that, right? Noel Jordan, your party has a plan, Sinn Féin has a plan, but there seems to be question marks as to whether the banks will back it, whether it can actually even be funded. So to bring something so significant, as part of a policy document, and there remains a great deal of uncertainty as to whether or not the banks might actually even be on board on that might give people pause to think, well, is it worth the risk of change?
No, look, the banks haven't said that anybody with a housing model is going to have to sit down with the banks. And of course, the banks want their money back. Of course, that, and we are working with that sector. And I would put huge faith in our housing spokesperson, Nona Bryn, and Pierce Doherty, who's done Trojan work in this area. But could I just start about the housing crisis that we have, because this is the number one issue that I have as a local councillor. Every day I get a phone call from somebody that is on, that we'll talk about social housing first, that's on the social housing waiting list. Others that are being evicted, and I think if we go back to when the eviction ban was lifted, we totally disagreed with that. It's put people in a very, very dark place at this present minute, because we're running into Christmas, and I know there is a number of people in my municipal district that will be homeless before Christmas. Now, we have listened, and these are the facts. We have listened to Darragh O'Brien as the minister, that 12 months ago he was on a number of debates where he said that he was actually throwing local authorities under the bus by saying, we're providing the necessary funding, get up and get out there and get building. But that wasn't the case, because we raised this. We raised this with housing officials. We raised it at every forum that we could, and we were told that the funding wasn't there. We're only in a position now, believe it or not, we're in a position now that local authorities has gone out to meet the need. They're going out seeking to purchase land to build social housing.
That's kind of interesting, because they were blamed for that, local authorities were. They've also been blamed for not applying for modular housing. We heard that from Minister Charlie McConalogue yesterday, outgoing minister, which is quite interesting. And they were also blamed for money not going towards the Buncrana Leisure Centre. It was the council's fault that money went to Letterkenny. So there's an awful lot of, by various Fianna Fáil ministers, there's an awful lot being laid at the door of the council. Are you saying that's unfair?
It's totally unfair, and it's untrue.
I'll come back to you and bring you back in. The one thing I will say, if you don't mind, I find it amazing that the banks have been so transparent and to the fore on this issue, and we can't get a word from them in relation to defective concrete blocks and their responsibility into that. But in terms of this, they're able to almost poo-poo or question mark a housing policy, but they can't tell us what their responsibility is or what they will do for people affected by defective concrete. Claudia Kennedy, everyone's going to get on this as well, and we'll go to defective concrete as well. But Claudia, you're promising more of the same. Well, why would we, the electorate, why would we go for more of the same? What's going to change? You had quite a number of years to do stuff. Some stuff is being done, but what is here to suggest that you're going to do anything differently or actually improve supply?
Again, this has been one of the key issues as I have been campaigning and canvassing in this general election. Since Fianna Fáil took government, the previous confidence and supply issue was there with Fine Gael, but since we've had Darragh O'Brien as a Minister for Housing, we've built over 125,000 new homes, and that is more than the last two governments combined. We need to do more.
So they're actually built or building and commenced?
We've them built 125,000 new homes. In terms of Donegal, 428 social homes have been delivered from 2020 to 2024, 306 through new builds, 51 through acquisitions and 71 through leasing. And social housing waiting lists in Donegal have gone up. We do recognise that by 9% from 2019 to 2023. So we do know work has to be done. However, we are putting investment in, and under the Land Development Agency we will commit 7.5 billion annually to building social housing and also in empowering the Land Development Agency to create more homes across the board. And we put the Planning Act in place as well to make sure that people will be able to build on their own family land, particularly in rural Ireland, and also looking at putting in infrastructure. That's really important, Greg. That has come up as well as we've been campaigning and canvassing, that the road infrastructure is there, the ESB grid is there. So what we're looking at is huge investment, but capacity is also an issue. We have to be very aware of that. We know the Fiscal Advisory Council had said that we need up to 80,000 construction workers to meet those needs. So from a Fianna Fáil perspective, we're also looking at the education side of this in terms of apprenticeships and allowing them to earn more money while they're doing apprenticeships, to streamline applications for apprenticeships.
When is that going to happen? Because apprenticeships are giving up on the courses in their droves. And this is again under your party's watch. So why didn't you fix that for the last 4 years? Why is that a priority now?
Well, let's just put things again into reality. We did come through COVID, Brexit and a war in Ukraine, and that did have a huge impact in terms of supplies.
But I've been doing this quite a long time, and this is starting to feel like the same conversation, and it went on up until I think COVID came, that we came through a crash, we've came through austerity, we've rebuilt the economy. It sounds like this decade is going to be written off effectively because of COVID and the war in Ukraine. It wasn't us that decided to react to COVID the way the government did.
I don't think that. I think you need to look at what we are trying to do. We have to do more. This year we will be on target to deliver roughly 33,000 houses. We did the same last year. Our aim is to build 60,000 houses a year under Fianna Fáil, to put 7.5 billion into the Land Development Agency.
There's not a single affordable house under construction in Donegal at the moment, not one single one. Well, I love that figure coming down from Dublin, 30, 40, 50. You could talk about 200 million.
Well,
the reality, my listeners, there's not a single affordable house.
Can we just look at in my own electoral area? We're currently looking at 24 new units in Convoy. We are looking at 20 new houses being opened this month in Gallows Lane and Lifford. We're looking at 19 new properties being finished in Trustgrove Ballybuffet. We have planned for 60 new houses in Lifford the Common. We've also planned 30 new houses in St Johnstone.
No Jordan's on the council. You're shaking your head there, unless is there a draft or are you disagreeing?
No, look, you're right, you're correct. There's not one affordable home built in Donegal. But Claudia's saying what these houses that are on stream, there's about 5 phases to get them houses to construction. And this is the problem. There's a huge problem there, because once they can't sign off on them until they get the funding. And there's about 5 phases, and it takes too long.
And the elephant in the room is you've got very
planet.
significant Donegal contractors saying that they don't want to deal with the council, and they're actually going to go into Northern Ireland and invest and spend their money there because they're tete-a-teting with the council about developments. I'll come back to you. Kim McMenamin's been waiting patiently.
Just on Pierce Doherty's policy when he launched his housing plan there on the 9 till noon show, he stated that there is no issue with building the huge number of houses they promised, as there's no shortage of builders. He stated that developers and contractors are laying off staff due to shortages of work. Then, the following week, it was officially announced that there is a shortage of 70,000 builders, in Ireland, right? So, Pierce either misled the listeners or is out of touch and incompetent, that he wasn't aware of the labour shortage when
You're not going to like this possible solution to that labour shortage, I can tell you that, Kim.
Under Sinn Féin's social housing plan, the government retains ownership of the site and services under the house. This is Sinn Féin now. The buyer can only sell the house to someone who qualifies for social housing and at a price decided by the government. Added to this, the Banking and Payments Federation of Ireland has not confirmed that banks will lend to potential buyers wishing to purchase houses. So you think the Sinn
Féin policy's full of holes, effectively? I mean,
the government owns the land and the services under the property. There are legal precedents around this issue.
Before that, Eamon in, I'll just respond from a Sinn Féin perspective.
Let me just finish that wee part because it's important. I don't leave anything out. Specifically, where the water, sewage and electrical pipes and cables for a property cross the property of a third party before reaching the mains. In these instances, a way leave agreement is required. This is a legal document that must be signed by the third party to state that they will never interfere with the services crossing their land. And this is the most important point. There is no mention of any way leave agreements in Sinn Féin's housing plan. Therefore, no guarantee that if a plan was introduced, that future governments wouldn't use their ownership of the water, sewage and electrical services as a mechanism of control against people residing in their homes. That's way out of touch.
Could I just add, we were talking first about the shortage of skilled tradesmen and whatnot. I'll just give you an example of a site that is at construction now. And there's 48 houses being developed. This is social housing. The main contractor in that site there had contacted every representative in the Donegal Municipal District to get that up and going, because he had men ready to go, ready to build them houses, and they were stalled for about 8 months. And when we had went to the local authorities, to our housing officials, it was down to the department wouldn't sign off on it.
I would have my suspicions that whatever barrel the developers in Dublin have the government over, because they must have them over a barrel, because there's an awful lot of approved planning that they're not proceeding with, probably to see what they'll get. They won't be long finding those workers that they're saying aren't here. I would suspect, I'd have my suspicions, but I'm kind of cynical like that. Eamon McGee of the Irish Freedom Party, before we hear from Nuala Carr.
I hear. Listen to your programme all week about the housing. I'm just listening to wafflers, because they're actually waffling.
Agreed.
Bottom line is this, Greg. Under EU law, we're only allowed to spend 3% of our national debt, our national budget, on housing. We've heard these people today lying. For a start, oh yes, we can. I'm going to just let me finish. Now, how much money can we take away from our social housing, our health, our education, to build all this public land when we've only got 90 billion coming of taxpayers' money in our country? So these people here are nothing but wafflers. They can't deliver 50,000 houses.
So
a
what
year.
you're saying,
They're waffling.
you're saying that no party can commit to building 30, 40, 50 houses per year because EU rules won't
Public
permit
money.
the
private sector can do it, but public money on the taxpayers' money, these boys have been waffling. We're only allowed a certain amount of under a
Okay. I don't know if Thomas O'Neill can dispute that.
That's a fact.
Claudia or anyone.
That's a
for
fact.
that
So
matter.
they're all been waffling
it's
all
not,
week.
It's not
This
a
is
statistic
facts.
I'm familiar with. Do you have any information on that? Thomas Pringle?
They're all wafflers.
We can all make up facts now as we want on the show here today. By the looks of things.
Well, 8 out of 10 people would disagree with you on that. I'll come back to you in a second.
I think 9 out of 10 might disagree with me.
Nuala, I just made that up. Nuala, go ahead. Sorry, please. Nuala Carr of the Green Party. Thanks for your patience, Nuala.
Yeah, well, I kind of have to tend to agree there with Eamon that a lot of the systems that are in place at the moment in our economy are set up for private developers, and we're too focused on economic profits. And that if we looked at a better social model towards housing, community-led, I think we would come out with better results. And I think the system needs to be reformed, and the government has to lead that.
Claudia, did you want to come back in there, and I'll come straight back to you.
Just in relation to the fiscal legislation, our government did go to Europe. This is why it took so long to put legislation in place for the Land Development Agency to actually work. And under the current legislation, that means that yes, we can put 7.5 billion into the Land Development Agency. That's why we in Fianna Fáil want to keep it. Other parties may want to scrap it. That's the first thing. And then just in relation to Noel. So Noel, are you disagreeing with the fact that 428 social homes were delivered in Donegal between 2020 and 2024? 306 through new builds, 51 through acquisition, 71 through leasing. And also that 375 social houses were refurbished under the Void programme from 2020 to 2023.
Right, no.
So there is small amount
you put a
of
question
work
to
done,
him.
but
Go
work
ahead.
is being done.
Claudia, but Claudia, you just if you could clarify your question again to me, because you said they're on stream. You said there's a number of these on stream. They're not absolute figures. These are council. These are social housing, and they're only on stream. I'm just saying the time it's going to get to get construction on them sites. We're looking well into next year again.
Okay, Thomas, you want us to come back in there?
Yeah, in relation to Claudia and the Green Party as well, and in terms of their plans. I mean, it'd be great if they had been in government for the last number of years, that they could actually put these plans in place. And and there was a budget 2 weeks before this election was called, and none of these plans were put in place in the budget. Surely that's the time that these should have been done, rather than through an election campaign now there's going to be loads of promises made, and we'll see what's delivered afterwards. People could see that the budget was there. The government could have been doing these actions. They haven't been, and that's the reality of it.
Kim, you wanted to come back in there?
Yeah, just a solution, and it is a good solution. With the Irish people, our policy is it's called Right to Build scheme, right? So increased planning exemption from 40 to 65 square metres for extensions and garden apartments. Right now you can build a shed in your garden at 25 square metres without planning, right? So if that was up to 65 square metres, that means a family could build a modular home, and some of them are just 90 grand, and that needs to be incentivised by government as well, just to alleviate the pressure for now.
But Kim, I'll put this to you before. If 4 or 5 people built these around your house, right?
Height restrictions
would go beloopers.
Height restrictions have to be enforced. That's the only thing I would say. Look, I know it's a sticking plaster, but why are we all just moaning? We can't just keep moaning about things and facts and figures, or as Thomas says, everybody's kind of got their own facts and figures here. We need solutions, right? That would be a temporary stick and plaster solution, but why not allow people that opportunity?
Okay, Eamon McGee, you wanted to come back in there.
A wee question for Claudia. Claudia, on your figures, whatever, right, you're promising 7 billion to the people. Now, under EU law, we're only allowed 3%, but they do have a law saying that you can actually spend more, but another service will have to do without them billions. Would that be correct?
This country is economically very well off. We have the Apple tax of 14 billion that will be available for
We're also
housing.
on 225 billion debt.
Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael have managed this economy very well. We are currently have a lot of excess funds
Just answer the
available
question,
to spend
Connie.
on housing.
I asked you, will the money have to come from another different service, from housing or from our hospitals? Because we only have a certain amount of money
We
in the
have
country.
additional funds of 14 billion of Apple tax that we will be spending on housing and
Should
infrastructure.
Apple tax not be spent on the infrastructure? I hear even people working for Irish Water,
Well, I think
Irish
I don't know.
subcontractors.
Their part of it is on infrastructure and housing. I do have to take a break. Kim, if you can be brief,
Apple
please. You've been in
tax has
three
this has
times now.
been bandied around like willy-nilly. Let's get the Apple tax. Look, the government were able to conjure up 60 billion to bail out private bondholders during the crash. We're still suffering from that
And none
crash
of you
right now.
going to say that
People are
they're
just
now
making up money.
And none of you
They're
going to
printing
say
money.
that the government is now planning to spend money it's spent years resisting. I mean, I'm not on
The
running
money's
for
there,
election,
though. The
but
money's
no one
there.
going to
Like,
say it.
this Apple
All right,
tax
I'm
thing
only
has
messing.
got out of hand.
I'm being facetious. Okay, we'll be back with more. We'll be back for more of. Thank God it's there now. Anyway, we'll be back with more because everyone's spending it after these.
The 9 till noon show with Donegal's multi-award winning wedding venue, the Silver Tassie Hotel, planning dream weddings for generations. Email weddings@silvertassiehotel.ie for a wedding brochure or private show round.
Ready to transform your smile? Discover the magic of Blue Poppy Dental in Letterkenny and Donegal Town. With implantologists, surgical and cosmetic dentists, orthodontists and an endodontist all under one roof, we've got all your dental needs covered. Starting your journey is easy. Call us on 074 91 20355 or book your appointment online anytime through our user-friendly patient portal at bluepoppydental.com. Blue Poppy Dental and Orthodontics, where smiles shine brighter.
Would you believe I'm phoning this radio ad in from my Christmas sea swim? I'm calling from my smartwatch because only Vodafone's one number keeps my smartwatch connected without my phone nearby. So I've got a connection I can always rely on everywhere. Okay, here we go. Feel that freedom! Only with Vodafone one number! Whew.
This Christmas, get an Apple Watch Series 10 with one number connectivity for just €27 a month. Pop in store for more. Vodafone. Together we can.
Offer ends December 31st, 2024. Compatible powered on smartphone, smartwatch and 24-month contract required. Eligibility, limitations and terms apply. See vodafone.ie/terms.
Celebrate the season at Evolve Clothing Letterkenny Retail Park. Brands like Ralph Lauren, Fred Perry, Calvin Klein, Barbour and Gant. Open 7 days a week until 8 p.m. Thursday and Friday. Shop in-store or online.
Joe Gallagher Entertainments brings Smokey and their hits tour to the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny on Saturday the 15th of February 2025. Playing all the classic hits including Living Next Door to Alice, Oh Carol, Mexican Girl and many, many more. Relive the 70s and 80s with Smokey. Tickets on sale now from the Mount Errigal Hotel reception and Ticketmaster.ie.
Archives? Historic buildings? Museum-grade cases? It pays to be historic. If your organisation can contribute to Ireland's heritage, you may be eligible for a Heritage Stewardship Fund grant. Applications now open at heritagecouncil.ie/funding. Supported by the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find the perfect present for everyone on your list this festive season. Discover the joy of gifting and make Christmas magical with McElhenney's Ballybuffet. Visit us in-store or online at mcelhenneys.com.
Sunny spells will develop during the day, but fog may be stubborn to clear in some parts. Temperatures of 3 to 7 degrees, but colder where any fog lingers through the day. We'll be back with more from our final debating panel after a break, and we'll be focusing on the defective concrete block issue. Rejoin us in just 3 minutes.
The 9 till noon show with Teddy's Bar at the Silver Tassie Hotel. The ideal spot to catch up for cosy Christmas drinks. Follow Teddy's Bar, the Silver Tassie Hotel on Facebook and Instagram.
Celebrate Christmas at the Brewery Bar Letterkenny. Perfect for work parties, family gatherings or nights out with friends. Our festive party rooms host 20 to 80 guests. Enjoy special festive menus, drinks and the best atmosphere in town. Dates are filling up fast, so book now to make this Christmas unforgettable. The Brewery, where Christmas comes to life.
Tinny's Toys, your local toy store. Christmas Club is now open. Everything for newborn right up to model collectors. Leck Road, Letterkenny. Or shop online at tinnystoys.com. Did you know that we even give 5% cash back on all purchases when you sign up to our loyalty program? Tinny's Toys, much more than just farm toys. Leck Road, Letterkenny. Or shop online at tinnystoys.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Looking for your number one stop shop that's got it all? Then make John McNulty's convenience store and top oil service station in Stranorlar, Donegal your number one destination. Whether you're topping up on petrol or diesel, stocking up on solid fuel, or grabbing a delicious bite from their hot deli, John McNulty's has everything you need. Convenience, quality and service, all in one place. Because at John McNulty's, they put you first. Visit John McNulty's today.
At Specsavers, we've got hearing devices that can stream music or movies. Ones that are good in crowds, rechargeable battery ones that are good at home, ones that are good in the great outdoors, ones that connect to phones, ones that fit in your ear, ones that fit over your ear, ones that fit in wherever you happen to be. We've even got ones with the latest advanced tech, like the Phonak Infinio Sphere. And they're all available at great Specsavers prices. So book a free hearing check today. OK Hearing is not okay.
Introducing Flow for Men, my new fragrance collection of products created to keep you feeling fresh and looking sharp. The ideal gift for the man in your life. Find Flow in pharmacies nationwide or online at flowbybo.com. Start every day with confidence.
Ladies, are you seeking expert gynecology care? At Greenview Medical Centre in Letterkenny, we're here to help. Whether it's advanced fertility treatments, specialised pelvic floor care, or a routine gynecology examination, our expert team offers the care you need in a comfortable setting, all without the hassle of a GP referral. Book your appointment easily online at greenviewmedicalcentre.ie. Greenview Medical Centre, Riverside Retail Park, Letterkenny, a new health horizon.
Looking for a perfect gift for your staff this Christmas? Give a gift of choice with a one-for-all gift card, accepted in thousands of outlets nationwide and online with participating retailers. With no tax, PRSI or USC, you can save up to 57% when you gift up to €1,000. To find out more, visit onplus.com/one-for-all Xmas or pop into your local post office. Terms and conditions apply. The one-for-all gift card is issued by GVS Prepaid Europe Limited. GVS Prepaid Europe Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio as we continue our series of debates. Just to let you know that what I anticipate will be an interesting poll is going to be released by the Tyrconnell Tribune this evening and into tomorrow, dependent on when you pick up your paper. And John McAteer will be joining us after 9 tomorrow just to run through the figures. It'll be interesting to see. Well, firstly, polls are polls now, aren't they? There's a lot of distrust out there in polls, but it's a broad poll of actual people. Today with me, I've got Claudia Kennedy of Fianna Fáil, Thomas Pringle Independent, Nuala Carr of the Greens, Kim McMenamin, Irish People's Party National Alliance, Eamon McGee, Irish Freedom Party, and also Noel Jordan of Sinn Féin. And you know, it's interesting how the people of Donegal, how we are, and those listening outside of Donegal, in that yesterday we spoke extensively about defective concrete blocks, and there was a lot of messages saying, OK, can we move on? And today we just haven't got to that subject yet. We will now, and people are saying this is the biggest issue in the county. Why aren't you leading with that? And it just goes to show that lots of different people are going to be motivated to vote in many different ways for many different reasons. Claudia Kennedy of Fianna Fáil, you're running for the party, right? So you pretty much stand by what the party stands for, I presume. Are you proud of what Fianna Fáil has done for the people affected by defective concrete in your county?
Well, just to say, firstly, that we have launched a 2.3 billion remediation scheme. It's the largest scheme internationally, and we already have 2,300 applicants already in the scheme. Now, currently, there is a grant, a maximum grant up to 462,000, and people can then apply for the SEI Energy Grant of 37,000. Now, we're very aware of the anger and frustration of where some cases have been downgraded just to remediation. That is is something at the Donegal level. Minister McConlogue, myself and all of us have said we want that reviewed. If it is a full demolition, those people should have a full demolition on their houses. We're also not happy with the NSAI. They've been far too slow in undertaking their work and in fully allowing us then to implement the scheme. So we want that regulatory body to be resourced.
Are you proud of the scheme, Claudia?
I have met many people canvassing that are in the scheme who are happy with it, and I've met many more who are not happy with it. And it is consistently and currently under review. Let's not forget that when Fine Gael had been in power, very little had been done. This was with the Donegal minister at the cabinet table who fought for this funding. And we also must add that there is alternative accommodation and storage costs
What's the difference
available
between,
for 25,000.
you had a go at Fine Gael there. What's the difference between the Fine Gael's 90-10 scheme, I suppose you could call it, and this scheme, which some say is actually less than 90-10?
This scheme is up and running currently. A number of houses are currently being rebuilt. We know that the maximum is up to 462,000 plus the 37,000 for the SEI grant. That's bringing you up to 499,000. But there are other issues that we need to look at as well, and this is something Fianna Fáil will be highlighting: the need for a building standards regulatory authority. We cannot allow
Thomas,
this
did you
to
want to come in
happen
on
again.
that, just because it is a debate, and if there's something in particular that's
Fianna Fáil abolished Building Standards Regulatory Authority in the 1980s and 90s, along with Fine Gael, and that's what caused this defective box problem in the first place, where manufacturers were required to self-certify that they were in compliance, and that's down to Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael and their policies in relation to this, and that's what has caused it. And Claudia, she toes the government line, she talks the government talk, talking about a €2.3 billion scheme and stuff like that there. The reality is that it's nowhere near that, and I think it's about 100 million or something like that there now at this
I think it's in the 70s for next year.
Yeah,
70 something million.
Yeah, so basically, we're going to go a hell of a long way to get to 2.3 billion.
But Claudia, just to you know, and I'm just really conscious of the upset that there is out there, and when you talk about numbers and the positives, I get you, but we never seem to start talking about the older couples who are too old, and that can be actually 55. You know, I don't mean much other, who can't borrow. Okay, the families who can't find the additional 30,000, 40,000 euro, they're trapped in this house. The people in semi-detached where they can proceed, the people next to them can't. Those in council houses who have nothing at this point, they've got absolutely... They're on the hind teat altogether, right? They're sitting there being told, we'll put some sealer in the cracks and see if we can stop the drafts in the window. They are listening to figures being trotted out there. This scheme, according to former Attorney Generals, is designed actually to frustrate. People are being downgraded to discourage them from actually going on the scheme. So it really is extra hurtful, I think. And you have to back the scheme, I presume. It's very hurtful when those people aren't referenced. That this is about, you've met some people that they're happy.
Again, I empathise with people in social housing that are not in the scheme, and the Act of 2022 should have been implemented by government before this election was called. That is very clear. And if Fianna Fáil is re-elected to government, we will put in the same scheme for those people to a cost that has been costed to 525 million. Absolutely, it is horrendous, Greg, that people have been downgraded from demolition to now remediation. We within Fianna Fáil will fight at a national level to represent those people, to make sure that they have a voice heard.
Fianna Fáil introduced this scheme. You're the minister. You're responsible. You had the minister who's responsible for the scheme.
Okay.
Is responsible for it not working. You know, that's the reality. That's why we have to go back a third time.
Let's bring in some more voices. Councillor Noel Jordan.
Yeah, look, this government has failed them people miserably. This is the second scheme that is not fit for purpose. And people, you rightly said, 55 years, we're only talking about 55 years and over, they can't access the scheme. They can't get they can't borrow. And it's an absolute disgrace that we're still sitting here talking about a scheme. And Claudia's saying, and she's towing the party line by saying that we have made a clear commitment in our document to say that we will give 100% redress, and we've an end-to-end scheme we've gave it's fully costed. We've put it out there, and we are hoping that people will back us on this, and we have give a clear commitment that will cover for residential properties, including surrounding walls and garages, and the commitment also extends to holiday homes, and we will remove the existing financial clawback for landlords who own 3 or less properties. And we've made that commitment. We've seen 2 schemes as put in place. The 90-10 one, Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil have come up with this that's not working for people, but we've a commitment there that we will follow.
Are you
through
disappointed that if this was such a serious issue that at some point, Mary Lou McDonald might have brought it up at a national level over the course of this election, if it was as serious as your party's taken it?
Well, look at the issues on. I take it you're talking about the debate this night.
Any of the debates?
It wasn't.
Sure, interview
aired,
this morning.
Of course.
There's no end of them.
But Mary Lou McDonald has come to the county here. She's gone to the counties that were most affected by the defective block crisis.
Okay.
And give that commitment, and we'll stand by that commitment if in government.
Nuala Call, come on in there, you please.
Yes, thanks, Greg. We just need 100% redress for residential families, and not just residential families.
I'm not putting you on the spot. Is there a green policy in relation to this? I probably should have checked this out.
Yeah, and I'm not in favour of it. But that's why we need a Donegal Green Party representative to fight for a better representation for families affected by MICA. As well as small businesses and charities. I spoke to the Letterkenny Community Childcare recently, where the building only has about 18 months before it's not fit for purpose, and that's going to affect about 150 families in Letterkenny, as well as the staff. There's also childcare facilities, I think, in Rafo and Ardra affected by the MICA. And lots more small businesses. So it's just a huge problem that has to be addressed and has to be.
Kim McMenamin.
Yeah, Greg, I watched the debate the other day with the big debate about the defective blocks. They all talked about what they should have done, what they could have done, what they will do, but nothing got done. That's the bottom line. So homeowners are still, after 14 years, being messed about with a half-baked scheme. Okay, so it's going to cause more problems further down the line. So the people who did nothing, they do not deserve to get back in. You've got to vote them out, people. So the other question I have here is, Charlie voted with his party, not his people, right? That was like a big letdown for him and his own. Terrible. Search for remediation. They can't sell their houses, and they cannot get insurance. Now, Charlie couldn't even get Buncrana swimming pool when it was all set to go. He said he had the ball in his hand, and it was just to kick it over the line, but he actually dropped the ball. So how can he sort out homeowners when he can't even sort out something simple like that? Now, during the meeting, he had his head down on his phone and did not even listen to the other speakers. I think it's terrible that a TD would behave like that.
Sorry, I missed that last thing. What did you say?
I think he had his head down on
Who
his
did?
phone. Charlie McConnell.
Yesterday? Or somewhere else?
Swimming pool meeting in Buncrana.
Oh, right, okay. I wasn't there, Kim. I take your point.
Yeah, when he's supposed to
he's not here
deliver
to defend
that,
himself,
and
and I wasn't
again,
there. Yeah.
he failed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to come in there, Eamon? Eamon McGee?
Thanks very much. Look, listen, I'm a defective homeowner myself. I know the stress and the anxiety that this is for every family in Donegal having to go through this. I don't have the money to rebuild my house. I have joined the Justice for Donegal group. 16 homeowners are going to take a judicial review on it. Every single one of our TDs could have done this for every single homeowner, but they choose not to. If me or Charlie are lucky enough to get into the Dell, we might have an opportunity to take this judicial review out on behalf of the homeowners. And if this is not possible, we all here need to support this. There will be fundraising for it, and every homeowner needs to support this group, because this is the only way we're going to get a redress We hear Sinn Féin saying they're going to give people 100% redress, but we see the polls that Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael could lead the next government, so everybody has to compromise.
Can I ask you what the Irish
Now,
Freedom Party's commitment is in relation to defective concrete block homeowners?
As a defective block owner, right?
No, the party. You're running for a party. What's their...
supports having to take a legal case out against the government. We are not in power, so we don't have a say.
No, but say in power. What is your party promising the people of your affected homeowners? I'm sure it's come up at a conversation. What are you promising or committing to?
As a party,
it's not in your manifesto, is it?
It's not. That's correct.
Yeah.
But we do support the justice for
I know,
Donegal.
but if the
But I
party
do
was
understand
serious
what you're
about the
saying.
issue through you, it surely would at least be a line in the manifesto. It's not in there at all.
We have to look at our books, right? And we have to look at the books and how much money our government has got coming in before anyone can make a decision. We're only spending, is it £70 million this year on defective homes? This could take 100 years to build people's houses. We have to make sure to go through the courts because AS 465 is not the right engineering solution. We want the same solution that Dublin got, 100% redress and be looked after as same as other Irish
Would
citizens.
you hope that this
is
will...
simple that our party support.
Would you hope that your party does actually formulate
party
a
will do
policy on
this,
this
'cause
issue?
it's the right thing to do by
Thomas
Irish
indicated
citizens.
first. Kim, go ahead, Thomas.
Yeah, I think we need to look at solutions as well for the defective blocks, and I think the People's Document that was launched by the defective block campaigners a number of months ago provides that solution and provides a solution right across the board for homeowners, for the public buildings like childcare facilities and stuff like that there as well. But very importantly as well too, it also outlines how steps can be taken to make sure that this never happens again, because at this point in time we're in a situation in Ireland where this can still go on and can still continue on because of government inaction, and that is the problem. So I think the People's Document provides that solution, and people should be endorsing the People's Document, and that will be something that I'll be putting forward in terms of government formation after this election if I'm lucky enough to be re-elected.
To the point whereby you would join a coalition, you'd coalesce with a group and committed to.
I think it's one of my red line issues would be the People's Document and that defective blocks would be once and for all looked after and dealt with, and I think that's vitally important.
King McMenamin.
Yeah, I spoke to a lady on the doors who was getting out early for remediation, right? So she's going to be about 40,000 because she wants the fines done. So, like, people are scared into the scheme because they want security. They want a roof over their head that's secure for their children. So they're being forced into this scheme. And I've spoken to a few other people on the doors who their house, they've sealed the house up really, really well, used really good like waterproof paint and stuff, and it's been held together, and they're saying they're going to hold out for the judicial review because once
they'll have to, because if they've done that, they can't get on the scheme because they won't pass the visual inspection.
Which that's even more terrible.
It is because if they can't see a 1 millimetre crack, you're not on the scheme.
There's too much regulation, there's too many rules. But
they're going to have to wait till the house cracks again, which is crazy.
Why can the parties not get together across party consensus, right, and just pay out the billions needed instead of using it as a political football? Look, they had 14 years to do it, still not sorted out. They're too busy infighting and saying my scheme's better than your scheme, this law, that regulation. Waffle is all we're hearing. No solutions.
Come back in there before the break.
Just in relation to that issue of cross-party support, Sinn Féin refused to reply to written consultation requests for the scheme from government. They refused to publish an alternative legislation despite promising to do so. They refused to publish alternative guidelines despite promises to do so. And Noel, I would ask, does your party endorse the People's Document? On Micah.
Yeah, we do.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
Hold on.
No, you don't.
But hold
No,
on.
you don't.
I'm saying no.
Yeah,
we didn't.
you don't.
No. Yeah, good. We didn't endorse it fully, but we were putting a scheme together, which is our document, and we're hoping that people will get behind this.
But can I just say, Claudia, if some people listening would think it's you landed on him there, right? Okay, but you're sitting representing a party that doesn't endorse any part of it at all.
But sorry, we have put a scheme in place for 2.3 billion.
But sure, it doesn't
you're
work.
saying,
It doesn't
if
work.
I could answer,
He's had
let Councillor, let Claudia respond, and then I'll let you back in. Go ahead, Claudia.
What's really important to note is you are saying that you're going to put a scheme in place, and yet when there was was public meetings around Inishowen. Sinn Féin stood up and said, no, we will not endorse the People's Document. You did not give us written submissions on the scheme. Our scheme is in place. It is there for people to see.
Claudia, that's a specific point. Number of people there that night. Okay, we didn't fully endorse the document. But people went out of that room that night knowing that Sinn Féin would have their backs in this, and the scheme that they've put together. And I'm sure nobody else has put a document together like that there. Okay. So that we provide that.
You got endorse it. That's the question. Why? That's a good question.
Well, I know the answer to that. It's because they were liaising with. Claudia, I just want to put it to you, and you can consider that if you wish. I just want to put it to you that, like, if I were a member of Fianna Fáil or supporting Fianna Fáil, like, at the end of the day, the logic thing here is there's a lot of houses that are falling down, right? It's because of the lack of oversight by government, right? They all eventually going to have to be rebuilt. It's a multi-year thing, so you don't have to spend 10 billion next year, right? It's going to be over years. There's huge clawbacks. The VAT, crazy that the VAT on these materials, 13.5%. You're creating employment. Those people are earning, they're paying wages. There's so much clawback on this money. The simplest thing to do, to be fair, is to end-to-end rebuild everyone's houses. Because, as I say, it's good for the economy, it's good for everything, right? These are people that are innocent victims. I would find it very difficult to sort of stand over anything other than that because it's so simple. Yet we have the former Attorney General, trying to frustrate the scheme. We don't want it to work very well. They say they didn't take the advice, all right? But the obvious logical thing to do is just fix the bloody houses because there's so many benefits from it.
I would agree. And that's why the likes of myself, the policy is in place. It can be improved. That's why you need Donegal TDs at that cabinet table to work on it, to listen to people, to improve. I'm not there. I'm answering, if I could answer, to work on the scheme, to improve the scheme, to be honest in what we can do. Absolutely, I agree with you, Greg. That's why I'm involved in politics, to help people, to listen to people. But you have to be at a cabinet table in government to do so.
Yeah, and if we are in the next government... Fianna Fáil sat around this table defending what's there, but at the same time you need to do more, and it's not fair. It's I suppose that's party politics, and that's fine. I'm not, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. But it's just
a number of our councillors, for example, are living in mica houses. They have had meetings with the Department of Finance, with the Minister of Housing, with Minister McConlogue. There is a huge team effort within our party to fight for Donegal at a national level. This is happening consistently, Greg. We are at the table, we are battling, and we are fighting for Donegal people.
Is that not an admission of weakness? Because whoever was battling for the people down in Dublin on the Pyrite scheme, they got a fully managed end-to-end scheme. It says one of two things. A, is they're not great fighters, which I'm not suggesting. Or B, they don't really listen to you anyway, even if you're fantastic fighters, because there's a perfect example down the country of where whoever was campaigning for them got exactly what the people of Donegal and the west coast of Ireland deserve.
We want to help people. We want to be at the decision-making table. And the scheme that is there is something to work on and to improve. And perhaps that scheme would not have even been there had we not had a Donegal Minister, Charlie McConlogue, in government. It can be improved on. It can be worked on.
I'm not saying you'd know, Hannah, but I don't think you'd be there if 30,000 people didn't march around Dublin. I think it's the people that got that scheme with the assistance.
Everyone.
All right, Kim, that's his opinion. We'll be back with more after we take a break. Stay where you are.
Treat someone special to luxurious relaxation time in the Seascape Spa at the Silver Tassie. Offering indulging treatments, unique gifts and Christmas gift vouchers. 912-6251. Seascape Spa at the Silver Tassie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Make great photos into beautiful gifts at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Different gift ideas include canvas prints, freestanding or ready-to-hang art blocks, and personalised photo books, perfect to mark any occasion. There's also jigsaws, calendars, mugs, and much more. For details, visit mcgees.ie. Turn your favourite moments into something truly special with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny.
For all you hard workers and multitaskers, those who come to work with big ambitions and bigger ideas, and all you legends of the trade, however you get the job done, there's a Volkswagen commercial vehicle for your business. Choose the new Transporter, Caddy Cargo, Crafter, Amarok, or the all-electric ID Buzz Cargo. Enjoy HB finance from 0% or purchase contributions of up to €2,000. Find the Volkswagen in you with the 251 range. Terms and conditions apply. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Visit Connolly's Volkswagen Letterkenny. Order now at connellys.ie. Donegal at night. It's vibrant, it's diverse, it's ours. Let's be safe and sound. Whether you're out for dinner, a show, a match, or just a stroll, we all play a part in creating a safe and enjoyable atmosphere. Let's look out for each other. Keep our streets clean. Have fun. Let's keep Donegal a place where everyone feels welcome and respected. Let's be safe and sound. This ad was brought to you by Donegal County Council and is an initiative of the Buncrana Nighttime Economy.
Black Friday deals at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure. 20% off footwear and clothing. Check in store and online for details. 20% off Asics, Brooks, Hoka and On footwear. 20% off Under Armour and Adidas clothing. With 30% off Donegal GAA Western Range and Puma football boots. Get your Black Friday discounts on bmcsports.ie.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is?
It is 11:43. Back very shortly.
The 9 till noon show with the Silver Tassie Hotel, the perfect venue for a Christmas get-together. Serving festive lunch, afternoon tea, dinner and drinks throughout December. Follow Silver Tassie Hotel on Facebook and Instagram.
What's gravity? When does the grass grow greener? Can people with longer legs jump higher? How are plastic cups made? How filthy are our parents? Which ingredients make the best slime? Why do we dream? Are you faster than a calculator? Could a robot be powered by fruit or vegetables?
Kids are full of curious questions. ESB Science Blast, delivered by the RDS, empowers children to investigate the science behind simple questions just like these ones. Find out how your school can get involved at esbscienceblast.com.
Easy Living Furniture. Luxury furnishings. Affordable luxury.
This week at Home Store and More, all Christmas tree lights are still all half price. That's right, half price. Save €30 on 1,000 LED cluster lights, or save an amazing €50 on 2,000 LED cluster lights. Let our half-price Christmas tree lights add a Christmas twinkle to your home. But better hurry, because when all our half-price Christmas tree lights are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Coming in from the cold or sharing good times with loved ones, Zip is always at the start of a good time. Long-burning and powerful, Ireland's #1 high-performance all-purpose firelighters are perfect for those moments that warm your heart as well as your home. Made in Ireland. Give your fire some Zip this winter.
If you've got a wedding, prom, or other special occasion coming up, there's a great offer right now at Watson Menswear in Letterkenny. Get a 3-piece suit, shirt, tie, and shoes for just €299. Yes, suited from top to toe for an amazing €299. Watson Menswear are open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at watsonmenswear.com. The Christmas Club is also now open, and a small deposit will secure any item.
Join Ireland's finest singer-songwriter Paul Brady and guests Sunday the 13th of April at the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny. Hear Paul perform such classics as The Island, Crazy Dreams and The Homes of Donegal. Tickets for Paul Brady on sale now at the Mount Errigal Hotel and Ticketmaster.ie. Paul Brady and guests, presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
Okay, listen, thank you so much. We certainly have close on two 2,300 comments over the last 3 days. There's been a huge level of engagement in this process, and we genuinely appreciate it. All of them are read, but we can't read them all out because then there'd be no time for. I think Kim described it as waffle. I'm sure it's more significant than that. There's a massive issue in this county as to how we look after our children. In terms of CDNC services, CAMS services, the waiting list for CAMS, 118 young kids effectively who could potentially, their situation could be worsening. The staffing in CDNT is improving, but there still are issues there. I'm thinking also respite in Carndon. It's been gone for 4 years. So it's putting a great deal of pressure on families and on young people as well. I don't think I've started with you yet, Noel Jordan of Sinn Féin. I presume you recognise the issues. I presume you get representations. Why are we failing our young people and their families so badly?
Because it's, again, this bad mismanagement. And I would say there is 118 children waiting on the mental health list now at the present minute. That's actually worse since... things have got worse since 2020 under this government. There's a huge underspend in Letterkenny University Hospital, which took much so to the fact that 81 between surgeons, doctors, nurses came out and voiced this to the government. A huge and when you talk about respite, out of 8 out of 9 community hospitals we have at the minute is understaffed, and they don't get that respite. Killybegs Hospital, community hospital at the present minute, 2 days of respite out of the 5 days. Things have got worse under this government. They need to be a huge investment put in.
Are there any clear proposals from Sinn Féin to address these issues?
Yeah,
and some of them are uniquely geographical to us here in the Northwest. Not all, but some are.
Yeah, no, of course we understand where geographically where we sit, but to take pressure off hospitals, we talked about the investment we would put in Letterkenny University Hospital. By doing that, we would be relieving the likes of Sligo General Hospital. So, yeah, there's certainly a need for further investment in our health system.
In the health service here. Eamon McGee, do you want to come in there?
Well, mine would be just a wee short one on this. And look, the problems that the country's facing with the young people and all the different services that people are being failed by the government. We're pumping far too much money into IPAS, which is over 2 billion a year. We've seen the 16 million for the scoliosis children not being used for the children suffering and pain. Look, we're pumping too much money into IPAS. This also creeps into your social welfare. It also creeps into every part of society, every part of our budget. And this is the problem with the government are doing. They're cutting all the different services. So just to be clear,
you are saying that money that is being taken from CAMS, CDNT services, respite services, and the health service, you're saying that's being taken from those budgets
at this present time,
being redirected to IPAS.
At this present time,
well, that's
yes.
demonstrably not true.
That is, well,
I'm not a fan of the government. I'm not a fan of the opposition. I'm not a fan of independence.
We only have a certain amount of money. We only have a certain amount of money, right? Or taxpayers' money, and we have a list. We're spending 88.9 billion on all our services.
Yeah.
Now, where's the rest of the money going to come from? We're talking about redress, and we're talking about building a bigger hospital and more funding.
I get you.
Okay. Let's be fair. Greg.
Okay, you said you would be brief, and one says I'm not a fan of. I'm not cheerleading for.
I would be wondering how much money actually we spending on their national protection applicants, getting their free houses, their freebies,
I'll bring
their
Thomas
college places
here.
for free.
Did I start with you? I did. No, I started with. I mean, you're not in government, and I don't think you've any support for them, but. So, just to what Eamon said, are these services underfunded because the money's been spent on IPAS centres?
I don't think that even deserves an answer because it's patently not true.
Okay, well then move on to your own point then.
The reality is that the services aren't being done because the government will not employ people. and that's the reality of it. And they see you get capital funding for a building because once the building's built, that's the end of the funding, and happy days. The government goes away and gets the photo op on the opening of it. But if you employ people, you have to commit to actual funding for an ongoing basis for those staff, and that's the problem. That's the problem that is with it. And they are not recruiting the staff. That's the reality of the situation to actually get to provide the services.
There have been inroads in CDMT in terms of staffing, though. Just there's been some improvements, but
there's huge difficulty in actually getting the staff recruited to actually fill the services as they're required. So not all CDMT teams are actually fully staffed, and that's the problem.
No, there's gaps
and that's why we can't deliver the service, and it's vitally important because children, if you can deliver the services to children at the appropriate age, you'll actually save money in the long run, because then people won't be costing the services ongoing right through the rest of their lives. And so we need to put that service and get those services up and running. And so we need to look and speed up recruitment. And sure, we have a problem in Donegal where the recruitment is done on a national basis within the HSE, and thankfully the HSE locally are willing to actually go outside that service to actually try and get the people to ensure that they can be got here. And that's what we need to do to make sure that the services are provided. And we need a ongoing commitment that staff, when you put the staff up in place, that they'll be maintained and kept going.
Yeah, Claudia Kennedy, this is an interest of yours, as it is for everyone around this table. What can be done differently going forward to address some of these situations?
Yes, well, just to say that Fianna Fáil have committed 150 million annually to CAMS teams, along with 110 million for community-based mental health organisations. But moving forward, Greg, just answer
in
your
relation
question,
to that, and I'm sorry if you come across as argumentative, but if that money is being spent and there's still 118 children who are awaiting their first assessment, does that not, at the best case scenario, talk to a mismanagement of funding?
It's down to recruitment of staff. We've just spoken about it. And we want to continue to resource those CAMS teams to reduce those waiting lists, and of course to employ and recruit more staff, both nationally and internationally, and also to retain the staff working in the mental health services by providing access to training and supporting career progression, and also to expand the number of funded places in clinical psychology doctorate training places. And we want to extend the funding of the HSE Assistant Psychologist Pilot programme. In terms of CAMS, we want to continue to resource it with funding, but we also want to enhance youth mental health services for those up to the age of 25, and really focusing on a smoother transition for young people from CAMS into the adult service. And we also want to increase staffing for under 18s suffering from mental health problems, for dual diagnosis services with better treatment for them.
But that all sounds good. How does that all sounds fantastic. How does that address the waiting lists in Donegal?
So again, if I come back to what we're looking around, retaining staff, recruiting staff, training staff,
having them somewhere to sit. There is no CDNT centre for staff in East Donegal. They've got no base.
Yeah, and again, this is something that we have discussed at a government level. We want to develop a new care model for the HSE, primary care psychology, to expedite these services, to make sure that young people can access these services in a more timely manner. And to actually, it's really important to say, Greg,
yes, go ahead,
to expand the Recovery Colleges initiative that we've had nationwide.
Okay.
That's to empower young people and educate young people
last
about their mental health and well-being.
And Nuala, in the last, we have a minute and a half each. Kim, did you want to go first?
Yeah, I agree with Eamon. I think 5 million a day spent on iPass is ridiculous. 2 million per year. That money could be redirected somewhere else. We've got to close the borders, try and fix our own problem first at home. Close the borders.
Kim, do you not
just for a while till we all settle
Kim,
down?
Do you not think it's a little bit
disrespectful? Look after our own people.
Kim, do you not think it's a little bit disrespectful to the families that are affected by this crisis, that it's just another opportunity to talk about immigration again?
Well, if it's a fact,
because they'll want you to go up to Dublin. They'll want you to go up to Dublin, right? And you wouldn't be expected to go into the Dáil and say, I pass
close the borders.
They want you to go in and
absolutely. Okay. Until we fix our own problems. Now, there's another
very
issue
briefly,
here.
Go ahead.
Thomas said that they're understaffed and they won't employ. And the same question to the Fianna Fáil lady over here. Claudia, sorry. Why will they not employ? Like, that's the question. Why is there no will to employ? Is there money to employ? You're saying you just made a statement.
Well, the vacancies are there.
Won't employ
The
it.
vacancy is there as versus the CDNT. They have increased the employment, and they've actually they've put incentives in. They've got rid of panels and stuff.
Here's a solution. I've got a solution. It's got to be put out there. We can have vans, health vans going round towns for breast checks and all the rest of it. Why don't we implement a scheme where we can get, like, people are suffering from mental health.
Okay.
They need people. If they can't get into the hospital, why don't they bring?
I'll come back.
Why don't they bring the health
Lula,
vans
please,
to the people?
Kim, just
it's a good idea.
No, I'm not. It's time, not my opinion, that's interfering with you. Go ahead.
Thanks, Greg. The mental health services need to be staffed and resourced according to national models of care, and we need to look at the waiting lists. They're just going out of control, and quality of services. But as a society, I think we need to address the causes of the rising levels of mental health. It's just, community services need to be better resourced. People with mental health challenges, disabilities, and those who are affected by autism, ADHD, the services just aren't there.
Okay. Listen, thank you so much, Nuala, for your time. Nuala Carr, thank you, Noel Jordan, Eamon McGee, Kim McMenamin, Thomas Pringle, Claudia Kennedy, all of you. Thank you so very much indeed. Very informative, and hopefully for the listener as well. I'll come back with the weather just before the news at 12. Thanks for all the texts and messages. I'll chat to you very shortly. We'll be right back.